How did your spiritual journey begin?
You know, my own spiritual journey starts out, I was raised Catholic, and I went to Catholic middle school, Catholic high school, Catholic college. I was an altar boy. And in eighth grade, I started having just some issues with this concept of God. And without getting into any details, by the time I got through high school, I started looking around to see what was available, because all of what the church was teaching me, I couldn't agree with. And so I studied several different religions. I studied several major philosophies, and just was getting kind of comfortable in knowing about everything there was to know about being spiritual. I could argue with just about anybody, and I was feeling pretty good about myself. And then in the mid to late 80s, 87, 88, 89, I don't remember the exact year, a good friend of mine had started working with street kids down in the University District in Seattle. They started feeding them. Different churches would offer their community room and kitchens so that they could bring these young people in and feed them. And Tom had asked me if I wanted to do it, and I said no. That was Tom's ministry. It wasn't really mine. And I appreciated him doing what he was doing, and he kind of smiled and talked to me into going down. So I don't know, they hadn't been doing it very long, and I was pulled in, and I went into the kitchen. And I was in the back of the kitchen looking out past the serving line, and we had close to 300 kids that night. And I sat there and I watched the dregs of humanity come floating through that line. They stunk. They had dirty clothes. They had foul language. They were ungrateful. Nobody said thank you. And I just sat back there going, really? And then when they all left, no one cleaned up after themselves. So all of us in the kitchen had to come out and do all the cleanup, those ungrateful little schmoes. And later that night, Tom's giving me a ride home, and he goes, well, so tell me, Tom, what do you think? And I looked at Tom and I said, Tom, you don't want to know what I think. And he laughed a little, and he goes, well, I do want to know what you think. And I said, well, this ministry definitely isn't for me. I think these kids need a good swift kick in the butt and a job. And I think you're enabling them to be very dysfunctional. And Tom just chuckled and thanked me for my opinion. And about a week later, I'm at home, the phone rings, it's Tom. And he goes, hey, we're a little short-handed, could use you down at the church. And I said, Tom, I appreciate this being your ministry, but it's not mine. I don't agree with it. And this is several years, maybe 15 plus years into thinking that I was spiritual, that I had these answers. Unbelievable. But so I said no. So about 20 minutes later, the doorbell rings, and it's Tom. He's standing there ready to take me down to work. And I said, Tom, I told you no. And he said, I won't bother you again one more time. And I said, okay, but this is it. And I went down, and this time he put me on the serving line. Now I could smell them, as well as see the graphic tattoos, the clothes, this disrespect for anything. I'm handing out rolls, and the kids are coming through, and there's this short kid. I can't really tell what type of a little person it is. They've got a clean white sweatshirt on with the hood up. And they come over, and I've already decided that this is ridiculous, and I put a roll on this person's plate. And this little girl looks up, and she's got tears running down her eyes. And she said, thank you. And I went, hey, I gotta thank you. Yeah. And people laughed. And then some of the other kids started to say thank you. And within a short period of time, I had fallen madly in love with those kids. And I had started my spiritual journey. So service did it for me. You know, I didn't get to where I needed to get to through book learning or philosophizing or theologizing or spiritualizing. What broke through into me was service, and I dedicated many years of my life to working with young kids from that point on.